kitchen and nobody was allowed to go there. And you'd see things or you'd see shadow people and you're just like, I'm not. And the dogs would be like, no. And then you're like, okay, I'm going this way. But anyway, so we lived off base and we decided at one point in time we were going to move onto the base, which was Langley Air Force Base. And in the middle, to preface, Langley Air Force Base was a plantation at one point. There was different parts of Langley that were quartered off for, I guess it would have been the family. Then there would have been like the slaves. And then there would have been the growing part and over by NASA. And you can look this up on a map because I'm not full of shit. I swear to God. So there's this right by the base club. There's this small little enclave of graves that you wouldn't even know. You just think, oh, it's a park. You know, there's grass and flowers and stuff. But no, you're walking around, you're walking dogs, graves. And you're like, okay, so maybe these are the people that are from, I don't know, own the plantation. Maybe that's why that's there. Didn't really think a whole lot about it. And so we were hanging out in our house and we started having this really weird stuff happen. And so our neighbors right next door to us, we lived in duplexes. So it was like duplex, duplex, duplex. And it was kind of like in this like semicircle. And the people that lived next door to us, the lady and the husband, she comes outside one day, starts talking to us, and she's like, my walls are bleeding. And I'm like, what? So she drags us inside, and sure as shit, there is like what looks like, appears to be blood rolling down the wall. Now, what is it? It's fungus. Okay. But terrifying. You know, you're like, okay, plantation, dead people, possums in the trees with beady eyes in the middle of the night. So we're like, okay, this is not cool. So we figured out, okay, that's fine. It's just mold. You have to get out of your house, but it's mold and it's not like poltergeisty and everything. So while this was going on, we were actually in our house and we started having really strange things happen. One of the things we had happen was all of a sudden there was like giant, enormous swarms of friggin' wasps coming down our chimney, like all over our house. And we're like, okay, what's going on? Trying to figure it out. This is mold next door, which looks like blood. And then now we have this plague. So we're like, okay, this is crazy. And as time is progressing, our neighbors next door in our duplex are psycho, which you've heard me talk about, psycho, crazy neighbor. So I'm going to wrap it up because I'm not going to get all stuck on that whole psycho stalker neighbor guy. But so this place specifically, it just had this really weird vibe. And the guy that lived next door was super crazy. And I don't know if he was manufacturing his crazy so he could get kicked out of the military, or if he was actually crazy, or if the house actually made him crazy. So, long story short, essentially what happened was this guy was total batshit crazy. Quartered his dogs off into the corner of the yard, tapped our phone lines, the whole bit, just psycho. Broke into the firewall upstairs, knocked a hole right straight through. I don't know if y'all seen a firewall before, but it's thick. It's brick upon brick. So he literally crushed through it at the top of the attic space, came down, came through the crawl space, came in. Our dogs were shitting maggots. I mean, it was like crazy shit. The vet's like, that can't even happen. It's not even possible because they were live. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. We've got all of this, you know, bees, wasps, mold, beady eyes, dead people. What the hell is going on? And so he finally moves. Thank God. He's gone. No more crazy stalker guy. But as time is wearing on, they leave. This house is still existing, but nobody's moving into this house next door. And we're like, what the hell is going on? Why isn't anybody moving in? At least maybe we could get some like life, nice people, whatever. So there's all these sorts of plagues going on in this house that shares a wall with us. You're hearing knocking on the walls. You're hearing digging noises. We're thinking mice. Certainly there were mice. You know, that's okay. They're not scary. Our cats were taking care of that issue. But so as time was going on, I had a maintenance guy come over to the house. And I was talking to him and I was like, what's up with the house next door? And he's like, well, we're doing all sorts of things. And he's like, so you're just going to have to be patient. You know, you're going to hear knocking and all this other stuff, but it'll be okay. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. At least we know what's going on. So one night I'm sitting out on the porch. Is a screened in porch. It's tiny. Out in the back where the dogs were quartered off on the other side of the fence. Basically, this guy was an asshole. He tortured those dogs. He put like shock collars and shit on them just so they wouldn't bark. He's a crazy dude. He's gone, by the way. He flies commercial now. So just so y'all know, that's pretty terrifying. That is pretty terrifying. Anyway, I'm sitting out there. It's probably 2:00 in the morning. And in my best stitch effort to try and make these people move, like I did everything possible, like tried to scare the shit out of them, which I'm sure just added more, I don't know, supernatural shit to the whole situation. But so I'm sitting out there and all of a sudden you hear this whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And then it gets louder and louder. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? All of a sudden you see all this water like running out of the house. Now, so we obviously called, you know, the people and we're like, hey, this house next door is like flooding and there's like lots of water coming out of the house. And this is about 6 months later after these guys had moved. And so we were like, those guys came over and they're like, okay, we're going to shut it off, but we can't because it's up at the top. It actually, like, the pipes actually broke and in the attic space. So, and then coming down. So there was like, other than shutting off like at a main valve, that was the only way possible to make this stop. And so I was like, well, the house must be cleaning itself because it was trying to get rid of these assholes. And so Ron and I, you know, after they shut off the water, we went in and we were like totally smudging the shit out of the house and we're salting the corners because, well, wait, it's legit. So we're salting the corners and everything. And they're like, okay, we should be good. So the maintenance man comes over a couple of days later. We're having a discussion. And he's like, did you know there's a hole in your firewall? And I'm like, no. And he's like, yeah. He's like, so the people that lived here before, this is the messed up part. The people that lived here before you lived in your house and before that wacky dude guy lived in his house. He's like, there was a couple that lived in this house and they were very similar to you guys. And there was another couple that was in that house and they were kind of similar to those people. And we're like, okay. And he's like, well, the guy that used to live in the old house with the lady that lived in your house, he used to stalk her. And he was like, so he's like, what he did was he broke through the firewall. He broke through it. He kicked it through. He poisoned their dogs. He followed her around for months on end, terrifying her. Her husband was deployed. Thankfully, Ron was not deployed. Terrified her. And then I was like, why didn't anybody tell us this? This is crazy. And he's like, yeah. He's like, so we had already boarded up that whole entire firewall. We had already, you know, put all the bricks back together and the whole bit. And so we're like, okay. And he's like, yeah. So I don't know why there's a hole in your attic. And I'm like, yeah, well, I don't either. And so that's my story. It was me.
Guys, keep it going for Nicole. Oh, that's like some Amityville horror shit. You're going to open the wall and there'll be like a portal to hell and blood. That's good. Terrifying. Feel like I joke about a lot of this stuff, but I feel like there's people that are actually scared of things like this, so I'm sorry. I have a bad sense of humor. All right, guys, we are winding down our show. Like Estevan said, our next week's show is Furry Friends. But before I bring up our next storyteller, we are on all of the social medias. I know you're excited about that. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Follow us, like us, all those things. Tag us and shit. I don't know. Whatever you guys want to do. We will retweet it. We'll retweet it? Yeah, maybe. We'll repost on Instagram. And we also have this lovely merch case. So if you're like, man, how can I chatter represent in the community? I've got so much shit for you guys. You can buy some of these things. They're very cheap, so inexpensive. We have some free things. If you ask Estevan nicely enough, I'm Estevan, so you just have to ask me. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and bring our next storyteller up. He hasn't been here in a while, but we're glad to have him back and glad to have him on this stage. Put your hands together for Ben. He's coming from far away, so you got to keep it going, like the whole time.
Hello. Hello. Good to see all of you. My name's Ben. So, this isn't a stand-up, by the way, I promise. I know. So, the other day, one of the most important things to me in the world is ending the stigma around mental illness. How do you do that? One way I like to do it is humor. So, I'm going to tell a funny story. I have borderline personality disorder. Just kidding. But it's that's the story. All right, thanks guys. No, but it is, even in the mental health community, it's not well understood. It's like 20 years behind in research. It's not multiple personality disorder. Guy I ran into on the bus. Sorry, I can't tell you how many times people think that's what it is. Anyway, it's like, the way I describe it is it's like my fight or flight gets easily triggered at inappropriate times, and it distorts my thinking. It can make my best friends seem like a threat, like they're going to hurt me. I can scream at them. I can run away, depending on the situation. So it was weird to be a kid with this disorder. It was wild. It was nuts. It was kind of great sometimes because you feel intensely. You feel joy really intensely, too. As a kid, there was one thing that I absolutely adored. Peter Piper pizza. Y'all know what's up. You already know. Not Chuck E. Cheese's, by the way. No, screw the rat. I wanted the big knockoff Barney dinosaur in the cargo shorts and the plaid shirt with the backwards hat. I wanted him to be my dad or my best friend. I didn't care. I love Peter Piper pizza. I still do, wherever they are. So I remember one year it was my birthday, and my mom's like, hey, but she worked all day, but she was leaving at like 6 in the morning. She's like, hey, how about tonight when I get home, we go to Peter Piper pizza? And I was like, yes, oh my God, 1,000 times yes, you already know. And that became my world immediately. I was like, all right, going to Peter Piper pizza, greatest day of my goddamn life. I got so excited, I quit functioning. I got so excited. I remember we went over to my neighbor's house to watch a movie, like the Matthew Broderick Godzilla, God forbid, and everybody was watching it, and I was laying in the prone position on the floor, staring up at the ceiling, just like playing skee ball, collecting tickets to get the little parachute guys to throw, and I was just I couldn't function. I didn't go to the bathroom all day. I didn't eat. I was like, I gotta save my appetite. If you don't know the emotional reward of scarfing down 7 slices of pizza to save you from the emotions from watching that sad dog commercial the week before, then I feel bad for you. Anyway, so, I'm talking to my friend, my neighbor, Mikey, and he's like, hey, so what are you doing for your birthday? And I'm like, check it out, dude. Peter Piper pizza tonight. And he's like, I'm ready. Just like, holy God, dude, really? He goes, oh, cool. And I'm like, cool? Really? Is that what, really? You fool? That's cool? Have you never been to Peter Piper pizza? Wow, you know what, dude? No, I feel bad for you. Just leave me alone. Watch your dumb movie. It's bad. The eggs in the mall scene is weird. Anyway, so, yeah, I don't do well with changes of plans because of this disorder. It's really puts me into a crisis. And so I went home about 3 o'clock. My mom gets off around 5. And I just sat in front of the window like a dog waiting for her to get home, just like, she's going to be here any second now. So excited, just like ready to go. Still haven't eaten, I could have peed my pants, but I was holding it in. I was doing well. So my mom pulls in, gets out of her car, and she's just exhausted. She's been, navigating a workplace with terrible men who make more money than her. And so I get it. I mean, I didn't at the time. I was 10, and I didn't get it at all. But she's not doing well. So I run out there, and I'm like, hey, you ready to go? Let's go. I got your clothes laid out. Let's go. We can drive there real fast. Let's do it. And she's just like, oh, my God, no, stop. No. I'm sorry. No, we're not going. We can't do it. I can't do it tonight. It's not a good day. And she may as well have told me, your family's dead. Everyone you know is dead. In fact, your world's ending. Run as fast as you can. Run. Because that's what I felt. And I immediately just lost my shit. I kicked her in the shins. I started screaming and crying, and I just sprinted down the road as fast as I could go. Because that's what I do. Even still, ask my ex.